So I am Dr. Dan Margolin. I want to welcome everybody to the first episode of The Other Side of Adversity. We have a really, really exciting guest today on our show, and we also have my co-host Felicia Lucas. So if I start rambling on or I start telling really bad dad jokes, she'll jump in and cut me off, right, Felicia? That's our agreement, right?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Felicia, can I start with one really bad joke just so you can cut me off?
I try.
All right, here we go. Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees?
I don't know.
Total dad joke. You can cut me off at any second
Oh, Lord. Why?
because they're really, really good at it.
Oh, gee. Goodbye. Let's start the podcast.
All right, let's start the podcast. So, Felicia Rogers. So, 2 years ago, I had a major stroke that left me paralyzed on my left side.
Oh, wow.
And it was not something I expected, and it was quite an adventure. But through it all, there was one thing that kept me going. And Roger Maxwell, you were a big part of that. I don't know if you know that or not, but you really got me through what was probably the most difficult time in my life. Now you're saying, how did you do that? So here's what happened. So I was in the hospital for 3 months. I get in there. They tell me I had a stroke. I didn't realize it. I was sleeping when it happened. They didn't know if I was going to walk or not. And then somebody told me about a book that you wrote. I didn't know you, but let me show your book for a second. It's called Taking Charge of Your Stroke Recovery. Roger, you also suffered a stroke. Here is your book. It is a great book. If you know anyone that had a stroke or had a stroke yourself, you got to get this book. Now, what inspired me so much was when they were telling me, look, they were basically like, there's no hope, you're not going to walk. I mean, and they said it nicer than that. They said, oh, there's no hope, you're not going to walk. I mean, very pleasantly they said it. But then somebody said, you got to look at this book, Taking Charge of Your Stroke Recovery. This guy, Roger Maxwell, had a major stroke. They also told him that he might not walk, and he ran a marathon. Am I right about that, Roger?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Now, Roger, did you actually run a marathon, or they just told you ran a marathon when you woke up?
Oh no, I always love to run. In fact, in my case, I was up to running 18 miles, and then I had a stroke. And talk about who knows what a stroke can happen to anybody. I mean, you think it's somebody that's older and maybe overweight and got some problems, but I was unbelievably healthy, and I just had some bad luck, and bad luck can happen to anybody.
Been there.
And yeah, no, you're right. Just like you, a massive stroke. I had to teach myself how to talk again. Um, the medical people did not think I was going to walk again. They said, well, of course, whenever somebody tells you something that you can't do something, that makes you want to do it.
Absolutely.
So I set a goal that, okay, they say I can't walk again. Well, I'm going to get out of this wheelchair, get away from a walker, get away from canes, and I'm going to run a marathon.
Roger, I mean, that is incredible. I got to tell you, that is incredible. Can I read a paragraph from your book that I've read at least 80 times? I can't tell you how many times. Now, let me ask you, have you heard this a lot, or am I the first person to tell you how much you've inspired them?
I've heard this a few times, but yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to. I mean, you look great. You've done great, and I'm biased. I think anybody and everybody can do great. And if somebody has the bad luck to have a stroke, if health insurance is not going to cover things, you're either not going to have health insurance, or health insurance is going to run out. It's going to take a long time to recover from stroke. And in my case, I had good health insurance, but after 10 visits, the health insurance wasn't interested in paying anymore.
It runs out very quickly. I'm in the same position.
Yeah.
I,
So
Now, you say in the book that part of the reason is that the insurance companies or the healthcare system doesn't realize how long it takes to really recover and their goal is not to really bring you back to fully where you were before, but just to get you to a basic level of,
You know,
capability. Is that?
they're a profit making business.
I can't believe that, Roger.
So you know, hey, that would be great. You know, if you could be brought back to the point where you're contributing money to society or whatever. But if they're not going to make profits doing it, too bad for you.
Well, Roger, I'm going to read the paragraph that I always read. Okay.
Sure.
I want to share it with the audience because, so it says here, I, Roger Maxwell, am a stroke survivor. I lived through the tremendous difficulties, physical and mental, that accompany having a stroke. I was told by medical professionals that after my stroke, I had a 5% chance of living and would be permanently disabled. I couldn't walk, speak, or swallow, and my vision was severely affected. When my insurance coverage ended, I found myself stranded with apparently no options. My doctor told me there was nothing I could do but cross my fingers. I just had to wait and see whether I would get better. I could never accept that. I was going to do whatever it took to recover fully. Now, it's a special type of person that says I could never accept that. Because I got to tell you, I hate to generalize, it was one medical doctor that looked at me and said, while I was in the hospital, she said, Dan, you're going to make a full recovery. And I questioned her on that about 100 times. I'm like, what do you mean a full recovery? Are you sure? She said, I told your mom you're going to make a full recovery, so I'm not going to lie to your mom. So I sat back and I accepted that. And then I read these chapters, and here's the part that really got me. I could never accept that, and I was going to do whatever it took to recover fully. I researched which recovery techniques worked the best, and then with the help of my wife, Kathy. Now, by the way, you had just gotten married 6 months before.
Yeah, I mean, then she's it's kind of funny. Love of my life, and I'm still married to her. But then she did not plan when she married me to be. She thought I was a healthy young man. She did not plan on being a caregiver, but that's what she ended up being.
But it sounded like she was an awesome caregiver. I mean, you seem like you did really well. Then it says here, this line gets me. And I know from my personal experience that stroke survivors can recover completely and be even better than they were before if they do the right things. That is a powerful line, because that is not other than that one doctor, every other doctor I went to a neurologist. I said to him, listen, the medical doctor said I'm going to make a full recovery. He pulled up the CAT scan and he said, yeah, that's not going to happen. So I had to choose who I was going to listen to. And many of the physical therapists said the same thing. So this line I'm just telling you, thank you for writing this, sir.
Well, I mean, I hooked up with, in addition to my caregiver wife, Kathy, I hooked up with Davita because she's a great writer and got a great great artistic view of things. And she helped me. I thought I had a great story to tell people, and she helped, I think, tell it very well. But I'm a biased person. I mean, I believe that, there's no question that the brain takes electromagnetic waves or sonic waves and basically transforms those things into the world we experience. And I mean, the brain is everybody's brain is just an amazing thing. And, the medical profession is great. But they're catching up to that concept of just how great and how powerful.
Do you think that you get the feeling that they don't want to give you too much hope? I almost get that feeling like,
well,
they're taught don't give.
And I mean, for example, I was in the hospital for a couple of months, before my rehab ran out in insurance, and they basically wanted me to stay in a wheelchair. Because they figure if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to fall down. And if you're allowed to push yourself to try to be in something other than a wheelchair. That's not good for us. So, yeah, I think the medical profession is set up to not do the best for people.
You know, I'll tell you, when I was in the hospital, what I ended up finding, there was a candy machine by the elevator, and they had the best peanut brittle candy. And I would sneak out of my wheelchair and go every day. That was the thing I looked forward to. When the nurses found out, God bless them, they put an alarm on my bed and on the wheelchair and totally put an end to that. And so,
The simple things that, I mean, this whole experience that we're going through now teaches you the simple things are really, really unbelievably great. I mean, the fact that one of the things that I had to face was not being able to swallow. Well, if you're not able to swallow, you're not able to eat a lot of things that, and that's frustrating. That's frustrating. Fortunately, my ability to swallow came back, and I was able to eat. And I understand. I used to lay in my hotel room and watch TV, and those food commercials would come on. I think, oh my gosh, if I could only eat those things.
I remember looking at a hamburger and thinking, my God, if I could just have a hamburger.
Yeah, some sort of meal at a restaurant. Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
Roger, so let me go back for 1 second. Who are you? I mean, you have got to be an amazing individual. Give me your background a little bit. I know you were...
I mean, I appreciate that, Dr. Dammit. I think I'm just a regular guy. I was a soldier for a while, and then I ended up getting in the reserves, going to law school in the GI Bill, and became a patent attorney, and was a patent attorney for big firms for a number of years. And then finally, looking for a little bit different experiences. Lately, I've been an entrepreneur, trying to get little businesses going. And
what type of business are you getting going?
Well, one business, one of them's kind of traditional. It's a radiant barrier business with a guy in Texarkana. I'm partnered up with him, did some patent work for him. And the other business is I've become, being a patent attorney, engineer, always kind of enthused by technology. And I've become enthused with blockchain. And the blockchain is very good about taking digital files and establishing that they're unique with non-fungible tokens and or with digital signatures, verifying things. And I've been playing with the idea of getting verifiable diploma displays for people to replace conventional paper diplomas, with seals and signatures that aren't that good, arguably.
So it's sort of a different use of the blockchain. When you hear blockchain, you hear a Bitcoin, Litecoin.
Well,
We're not touching that. But go ahead.
Yeah, non-crypto. I mean, crypto has got kind of a little bit of a bad reputation because it was used for the Silk Road and things like that. But no, the pure blockchain, and the blockchain has got some great uses for people, and we just need to. I'd like to see if we could exploit them.
Well, again, well done. I don't want to throw too many praises at you, but I have to, just because I really owe you one. And I wanted to have you on the show. Felicia, how excited was I to have Roger on the show? I was like, oh my God, the first show we got Roger Maxwell. So I don't mean to embarrass you, sir, but it was very, very.
No, you're a good good statement, good of the book success, and I think that everybody's got a wonderful brain, and I think that they can do things to basically encourage it. Feed it right, exercise it right, and it's going to make everybody's life better.
I think, gentlemen, that both of you have stories that are very inspirational. And I know inspirational is used a lot out there, but honestly, for what you went through and where you pulled yourself up to and continue to move forward, that to anybody out there, no matter what their situation is, whether it be a stroke or another ailment or something that's happened to them tragically, you need to see people like yourselves that know that you can push through. And Dr. Dan, honestly, he was the one telling me all the time, I can't wait to have Roger. He was so excited that you said yes and you'd come on board. So I have to tell you, I'm going to hear him say your name a lot more after this.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you.
Roger, could I ask you a question, sir? Do you find that you appreciate things in a different way than you ever did before?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, going through the process of relearning how to walk, if you will. Yeah, I think everybody wants to be free, to not have, to be a burden on their caregiver.
Exactly.
And,
That's true.
Yeah, being able to do simple things like walk, to talk, to eat, those are great things.
I remember laying in the hospital bed and thinking, "Oh my God, if I could just go take a walk in the forest right now." Just simple things that I took for granted before would be like, "Wow, that would be amazing." So, thank goodness I've been able to do that. I mean, I use a cane. I actually I was very excited, Roger. I walked 8 miles the other day. It took me 9 hours. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but I did do it.
Yeah, well, the next time you can probably do it a little bit faster.
That's what And one more, who influenced you as far as a stroke to say, "Hey, I can get through this"?
Well, I think there was, I don't remember, there was some books, but I mean, the fact of the matter is I had a stroke in my 40s, and, I wasn't ready to fold up my tent in my 40s.
Right.
So, a lot of this was, it just kind of made, I mean, I felt like I had no alternative. I just married somebody, and, life had a lot of possibilities, and I just was not ready to fold up my tent.
That's a focus that you took, and that's most important. And that's what people need to know, because a lot of people do end up giving in to whatever happens to them, and they go in the sorrow area, and they just don't come out of that. So accolades, seriously, because you did that.
Well, I'm sure that it's a little bit of a hilly thing. You hit the valleys and the peaks on the way. I know I've had some of those moments where you start feeling sorry for yourself, and some of those moments when you're like, you know what? Hell with that, man. Let's go.
And
Right?
he's still doing that. He's always doing that every time
Yeah.
I'm talking to him. Yes.
Well, you look great, Dan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ryder. I appreciate it. I'll tell you one thing that was fun. I mean, I couldn't drive, and I still can't drive yet. For some reason, they won't clear the sidewalks off. I don't understand.
And that's
But,
why he keeps going, Dan.
But I was using Uber a lot. And one of the things that happened, I met so many Uber drivers, literally 30, that had relatives that had strokes and fully recovered. Had fully recovered, that was inspirational. I mean, anytime I got in an Uber, I was expecting to hear a story, I'm like, come on, you must have somebody in your family that had a stroke. Tell me about it,
Well, unfortunately, they're pretty
Many.
common. They're too common.
That's true. All right. Hey, Roger, let me ask you a question. So since you're a runner, I'm going to interject Dr. Dan right now. Where did you run? Did you run where you live? Did you ever go abroad to run?
Well, yeah. I mean, of course, the New York City Marathon is. I hooked up with the running group, and
Okay.
kind of knew the trails around here or whatever. But yeah, I went up to Washington D.C. at one point and did the Marine Corps Marathon. And
Nice.
New York City, I mean, they say that it's probably even more people now, but it's the only event at the time where you can get 2 million people to cheer you on, even though you're a normal person. And I mean, that was kind of amazing, to run through this boroughs in New York, and people would stand along the sides pretty much the whole way, 26.2 miles. And just wanted to slap your hand as you ran by.
Roger, when you say you couldn't walk, did you have numbness and paralysis, or was it this?
It affected the right side of my body, but I mean, basically, everybody's stroke their strokes are so different. My stroke was primarily in the cerebellum, which is the balance part of your brain. And my balance was just horrible, just horrible. Whenever you stand up, you feel like you're going to fall.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Dan.
Felicia?
Did you have something to ask him? I don't want to keep going on. I'll talk forever too, you know.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know, like, what point did you realize, like, you were going to be able to run a marathon? How long did it take?
Well, I mean, once I was able to start walking, I thought, you know what, we've just got to drive home the point that, you know, all the medical people that told me that I was never going to be able to walk again, you know, they're wrong. And you know, the funny thing is the Dallas Marathon is what I focused on because I'm from Dallas, and at about the 20-mile point, it runs right by the hospital that I ended up spending about 2 months of my life at.
Wow, that's a good feeling.
Okay, you know, wave at those people as I go by. You know, I can do it.
Well done, sir. You know, that became, honestly, when I heard that you ran a marathon, I made a decision that I was going to do the same thing. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, people can set any kind of goals for themselves that they want. I mean, if you run a marathon, maybe you're going to say, oh, you know, I want to do it under a certain time or what, you know, that's kind of beside the point. The point is you want to get to wherever you want to be. You want to be able to talk. You don't want to be a burden to people. You want to eat anything you want to eat, drink anything you want to drink.
Roger, what was your viewpoint as you were going through this as far as setting goals? What was, like, I know in your book you talk a little bit about the viewpoint was basically you're going to make it, and then on a daily basis you had the little setbacks. You just said, you know what, I'm going to make it, but I'm not going to set the goal so high that if I don't make it today, I'm going to get disappointed. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, of course, Dr. Dan, that's exactly, you know, maybe that's my old Army training, military training. You know, the way you deal with a company or battalion or platoon or whatever is you set a goal. And you don't set a goal that it's impossible to reach. You set a goal that is going to push the people a little bit. And you just keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. And at the end of the day, hopefully you win the war.
So, Roger, as I'm training, can I call you and have you yell at me? Come on, get up.
Yeah, no, you're doing good. But yeah, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Felicia, you could yell at me anytime you want. For some reason, I lost your audio a little bit, Felicia. I'm sorry.
My fault. I think we should need to, you know, remind everybody where they can reach Roger at, if that's okay with you, or if they want to reach out to you to talk
I
to
mean,
that.
the best thing is, you know, takingchargebooks.com.
Right.
And they can read the website, take a look. And, you know, the book is Taking Charge of Your Stroke Recovery.
Excellent.
On Amazon.
That's where we can reach. Any social handles that we could share with the listeners? Anything? Are you? It's okay if you're not on the social media.
Not really. I mean, you know,
That's okay.
Be happy to. Roger Maxwell, you know, send me a message on LinkedIn or whatever. I'd be happy to respond. But takingchargebooks.com is probably
perfect. Perfect. See, Dr. Dan, we'll have to get that word out. We will absolutely do that.
Roger, actually, I have friends that I met when I had the stroke that I gave and let them know about the book, and they also had the same experience that I did. So you have affected a lot of people.
Well, I mean, you know, look, anybody and everybody can improve. And I mean, if you just decide that, you know what, sorry, it's like nobody is coming. It's up to us. It's up to me. So, you know, health insurance is not going to bail me out. I'm going to have to take over myself.
A friend of mine said one of the best things he ever said. He said, "Sometimes you're waiting for the cavalry, and you look down and you're on a horse."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You are the ultimate answer.
You're it.
That's
Yeah.
correct. That's correct. All right. Well, you know what? This was The Other Side of Adversity, Dr. Dan, with Roger
Thank you, Roger Maxwell.
Maxwell.
Well done.
Correct. It is. So, Dr. Dan, are we wrapping it up?
Felicia, thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't know.
Right.
Roger, very nice meeting you. Dr. Dan, it's all yours to end. Go ahead.
So, Roger, any questions I didn't ask you that you would like to be asked, or anything you'd like to bring up, sir?
No, I mean, you know, I just keep thinking, you're hearing about, you know, one of the possible repercussions of this COVID-19 thing is scientists are coming around thinking, oh man, this is a vascular disease and not really a respiratory disease. And, you know, one of the possible repercussions is, you know, the blood vessels in your brain get affected and you have a stroke, and saying, you know, look, even if you get COVID-19, come out of this thing, and, you know, you're on the upside of things, maybe you would have had a stroke. And maybe you're going to have to go through the process of coming back. And one thing taking charge of your stroke recovery is, I think, it's a good roadmap, and people can use that roadmap and hopefully make progress.
That's a nice.
Thank you for writing that roadmap, and thank you for giving the hope that you've given people that have had a stroke. And I would ask any listeners that know people that have had a stroke to really look at taking charge of your stroke recovery book and following its principles and following the roadmap that you, Roger Maxwell, have left. And it is a great favor that you've left for people that have had a stroke. And I, for one, have greatly appreciated it, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dan.
Thank you, Roger. All right, Dr. Dan.
Felicia, thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Any last words before, you know, for you?
You know what? Actually, I would, Roger, I just want to go over like serendipity meeting you. So how I actually got it, let me just say, how when I had the stroke and I heard about his book, I said one day I want to be able to share his message with people. I'm going to meet him one day. I'm going to do a podcast, which we got it. But serendipity, I went to a friend's house for a party, and I go in, and a gentleman walks up to me, and he goes, "What happened to you?" And I said, "You know what? I had a stroke." He goes, "Oh, you know, my wife just co-authored a book on stroke." And it was Davida Lamont, the co-author. And I got her phone number, and I had just been reading the book. And then I called her, and I said, "I need to speak to Roger. I need to get him on our podcast." So what's the chances of that? That is serendipity. That is, it was sort of miraculous to me.
Davida is a great writer, and she has not had a stroke, but she listened to me enough and became a believer, and she helped express what I was trying to say in a good way. So I'm very appreciative of her.
A lot of effort went into that book, a lot of research. You know, one thing that you do talk about is that many people over the years should have had brain trauma repair, that the brain was able to find different pathways to repair itself. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, medical profession has been coming around. I mean, back when I was a kid, they didn't think, well, you couldn't grow new brain cells. Well, they've learned you kind of can, and you can grow new brain pathways, and those are the kind of things that you can draw upon to overcome your losses. And you know, whatever your losses are, you can come back, and you can come back hopefully better. And that's the whole point of the roadmap. And I mean, I think science has come around to, you know, let's not be shocked, but yeah, people can recover. Yes, they can.
Now, one thing I've heard many times that after about a year you plateau, but you sort of disagree with that in the book. Tell me
Yeah,
about
I
that.
mean, I think that, historically it was, wherever you came back to conscious, they thought you were stuck there, and then it was 3 months, and then it was 6 months, and then it was a year, and I've heard 2 years now. Yeah, at least in my experience, I had a stroke 18 years ago, and I still think every day, I can still make some progress. So, when do you plateau? Maybe you don't plateau ever. Um,
Or maybe you plateau when you think you plateau.
yeah. Maybe you plateau when you give up.
You give up, yeah.
Very
So
true.
I guess the other side of adversity is don't give up, just keep pushing.
That's a perfect way to end it, Dr. Dan.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Roger, I want to thank you for being on the other side of adversity with Dr. Dan. I'm just here to be here. Dr. Dan, you want to?
Felicia, thank you for co-hosting.
Absolutely.
And any questions you have for Roger?
You know what? You've asked all the questions. I know he's given us a lot of information. I think one of the things that we'll take away from this, and anybody listening, is that you never give up, no matter what, and you push through. I've gone through my own things. That's another story and another podcast. So I know what it's like to be down, and then you have to just keep pushing and focusing, especially when people are looking at you as, I don't know, can you really do it? Yes, and both of you gentlemen have proven that here today again. And you will continue to, you will continue to prove that as we all lived long lives, gentlemen. That's how I see it. And with that, I'm good. I'm good, and I thank you again, Roger.
Roger, I've got one more question for you.
And he goes on.
I'm sorry. Felicia, jump in. Just stop the rambling.
Just stop you.
Roger, what in the future, what do you see as anything on the horizon for stroke survivors? That is exciting, or?
I mean, the medical profession is getting better. I mean, which is why the problem why the problem of stroke survivors even come up. I think that, even if they don't give you some, most strokes have something to do with a blood clot, which mine didn't. But even if you get the drug that breaks up clots quickly, what I think that the medical profession, relieving pressure, doing emergency brain surgery, whatever, they've come up with ways that people that would have passed away 20 years ago, 15 years ago, are surviving now, which is why we have more survivors than ever. The medical profession is good about getting you to the survivor stage, but the insurance at that, it's going to think, it's taking you a little bit too long to come back, and, it's time to move on. And that's why, why I thought, well, okay, you know what? Here's what people can do if they want to take charge of their own stroke recovery, which they're probably going to have to do.
Roger, one more thing. I'm sorry. Felicia, you want to jump in?
No, I'm listening to you.
One thing that I did, and I did want to set the record straight a little bit, I had high blood pressure. I was very much naturopathically, holistically oriented, so I worked out a lot, and I really did not take the traditional medications for blood pressure, and shame on me on that one. So I did want to say that I had blood pressure. I had blood pressure since I was a kid. It never bothered me. I never paid attention to it. So if anybody out there does have high blood pressure, do not mess around with it. Go to a competent medical doctor, take the medication if you need it, and then if you do holistic or naturopathic, add that to it, not replace it. What would you say about that, Roger?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's just like I said, in my case, I was running 18 miles. It's not like you can outrun stroke, or exercise or whatever. I mean, if you've got a medical problem, high blood pressure or whatever, stroke's going to be there. But even if you don't, I mean, even if you're in great shape, you can have a stroke. And, arterial dissection I had, artery lining broke off and caused a blockage of blood to the brain. But everybody ought to do everything they can to make things better. And I mean, taking a little pill every day that lowers your blood pressure, that's certainly good. If there's, some sort of foods, which there are, that you can take that's going to make your brain operate better, it's going to fuel it better, that's going to make your life better. So, whatever you can do that's a simple thing to do to make things better, you certainly ought to do it.
Thank you, Roger. So it's funny, when I was at the hospital, I was at Morristown Hospital, I became friendly with one of the security guards there, and he was a big guy, like a bodybuilder, weightlifter. And he said, Dan asked me what happened, and I told him that I was not taking the blood pressure medicine, and I was going naturopathic. I was working out all the time, and I thought I was in the strongest shape of my life. And he said, I do the same thing. I've got high blood pressure. I don't take the medicine. He goes, I'm just always working out. And I thought, I'm not the only one. There are actually a lot of people out here that could use this message. And I would not like anybody else to go through this unnecessarily. So putting this message out for me was an important thing. And having you on the show was really important. It fulfilled what my dream was when this first happened, when I heard your first words. So thank you for doing that. And Felicia, thank you for co-hosting. And you can stop me at any point.
Roger, once again, thank you for joining us. All right, gentlemen, I think that's it, right?
I think that's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.